In small towns, people scent the winds with noises of uncommon keenness. Stephen King. That quote really doesn't have anything to do with today's video, but I couldn't think of anything else to put there. So, hey everyone, it's the year's 1999 coming back at you with another video. As you can tell, today we're going to be talking about incorporating elements of Stephen King's books into Dungeons and Dragons. Stephen King is a novelist who's written over 50 books, most of which are suspense fantasy thrillers. He wrote The Shining, Carrie, and It. Each of those have all been made into video, at least twice. Now, if you look closely, many of his books are interconnected. If you guys want, I can make a whole video on this. For today, you just need to know that we're going to mix and match items from his book for a D&D adventure. In these books, there are certain people who possess certain psychic abilities. In The Shining, this ability was appropriately known as The Shining.
Do it! Let's shave the cat! Oh boy, I usually only get this excited when they say the title of a movie in the movie.
I'm telling you, these drug dealers represent a clear and present danger to the United States.
He said it! He said it!
If one of your players wants to play a Shiner, I recommend using the Wizard class. Then depending on what type of powers they would want, that would determine the Wizard school. For instance, if they want to be like Carrie from, well, Carrie, then you could be an Evoker, since she could, move stuff around, start fires. Whereas Dan Torrance from The Shining would be a Diviner, since he can read minds and sense things that normal people can't sense. As for adventure settings, The Shining takes place in the haunted Overlook Hotel. It is filled with all the people who died there over the years. Perhaps the party could be called in to investigate the hotel. They could explore the rooms from the records vault down the basement all the way up to the attic, and they have to deal with spirits and other undead like, shadows and zombies. The big boss battle could be with a very powerful undead, such as a wraith or even a zombie beholder that's pretty much in control of the hotel, and that battle should of course take place in room 217, the most haunted room of the entire Overlook. And by the way, as long as we're talking about haunted buildings, I recommend checking out the Mad Manor of Astabar. It's a short adventure module for a haunted mansion. It's easily my favorite module. If you use it, let me know how your players solve the shrinking room puzzle. Trust me, it's a ton of fun. Now, in the lesser known but still very cool sequel to The Shining called Dr. Sleep, we find out about this mysterious group called the True Knot. They all shine, and they go across the country hunting down shiners to suck out their energy, which they call steam. They live off the steam, and it makes them more powerful and let them live for a very long time. They're basically like psychic vampires. Now, some members of the True Knot are also slightly precognitive, so they go to places where they know there's going to be great events of fear, so that they can absorb a lot of steam even from just normal people. Now, if you wanted to use these in your game, the True Knots, they could each be different types of wizards, and like I said, maybe they're also vampires on top of that. And so perhaps they could try to hunt down the party for their magical energy, or maybe the party could follow them, hoping to prevent some disaster that the True Knot know about, or maybe they just have to protect some steam head from the True Knot. Now, let's talk about Pet Sematary. In that book, there's the Micmac Burying Ground. It is a magical graveyard that can bring animals back to life, but they come back different because they were touched by death. For your game, maybe it is powered or just controlled by some necromancer, and an adventuring hook could be that you have a party member die, and then the party catches words that if they take the body there, they can bring their ally back. Now, this stuff with Pet Sematary could probably use some more content, so maybe on the way there, the players have to take a survival trek through the woods, like in The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. And in those woods, maybe they have encounters with mysterious monsters, like the beings from A Buick 8. These were creatures that somewhat resembled beings from our world, but were still very alien. Then when they get to town, they can realize that something is off about a lot of the animals. On their first day, they could distinctly see someone's pet die, and then the next day it's up and walking again, perhaps the innkeeper's cat or something. After further investigation, they could find out that this necromancer is actually forming an army of undead. This could make for a really cool fight scene, where the party confronts the wizard in the graveyard while he's performing the dark ritual. Then when the battle starts, zombie pests from all over town just swarm to his aid. And so what seemed like an easy enough confrontation against this frail-looking wizard suddenly becomes like a giant horde battle. Let's see. Then there's the book Rose Matter. In this story, a woman escapes from her abusive husband and runs off to a new city, where she buys a painting which turns out to be a magic portal to another world. And in that other world, she has to traverse a Greek temple and then explore a maze while avoiding the bull Irenaeus. Yeah, saying it like that sounds weird, but those elements could definitely fit within Dungeons and Dragons. Perhaps the painting is somewhere and it's calling people to a demi-plane to complete the mission and then slay the bull. This bull would basically be a minotaur, and there could be an issue of disappearances because although a lot of people are going in, they're just not strong enough to actually complete the challenge. But perhaps your players would be able to. And with that, we have 4 adventures, and perhaps you might want to tie them all into one campaign. And if so, maybe we should make a 5th adventure as the cap piece. But if it's going to be the cap piece, it's going to need to be something big. Perhaps there's some ancient evil that's influencing all of these other events. Well, what's better to use for inspiration for that than Stephen King's biggest novel, It? Well, technically in terms of page numbers, It is a little shorter than the extended version of The Stand, but I think you get what I mean. Stephen King's It is a story about the town of Derry, Maine. And in Derry, there's an ancient, malevolent being that's able to feed off of, the fear of the people living in the town. Kind of similar to the True. It's a shapeshifter that's able to lure in victims, and every 27 years it comes back for another meal.
Hi, Georgie. Aren't you going to say hello? Oh, come on, bucko. Don't you want a balloon?
Now, while in the city, they would realize that the people living there don't realize that there's a monster beneath them. And maybe the creature realizes that the party is a threat, and if so, they'll turn an NPC into a villain to fight them. The sewers underneath Derry could act as its dungeon lair that the party members have to track it down into. If they haven't already dealt with the NPC villain, then he'll definitely follow them down there. And so there can be all sorts of monsters in the sewers with them. And I think that it itself could be a lich. And with that, we have 5 Stephen King novels all put together into one campaign. Well, that's all I really have for today. Maybe after I read a few more King novels, I'll do a part 2. Like I said, I could give my take on the Stephen King connected universe. Maybe I could go through the Mad Manor of Azkaban, talking about the adjustments that I make to it. If you guys have any other video ideas, feel free to put them down in the comments. If you decide to use any of these ideas in your campaign, I would love to hear how it goes. Well, I'll see you guys all next time. Have a great day, and God bless.